it like it's stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like it's stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like it's stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like it's stir fry. I'll take a whip it intermission, let the birds fly.
Yeah. Here's another one. And another one. Yeah. From Little Kim, the Queen Bee.
It's ladies' night, what? It must be Angie on the mic. The butter pea, honey, got the sugar, got the spice. Roll the L tight, keep the rhymes right, yo. I just made this motherfucker up last night. And I'm the rookie on this all-star team. Me and Kim is getting cream, like Thelma and Louise, but on chrome. Never leave that Brooklyn shit alone. So if you say it's on, then it's on.
Damn, I didn't want that to end. Hey everybody.
Hey, happy Wednesday.
How you guys doing today? Happy Wednesday. Happy The Beat 139.
Welcome to The Beat 139, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, we're here in the house. Today we have special guests with us. Today it's all about women empowerment.
Yes.
And I'm Pretty Lou.
I'm KD Outlaw, also known as Khalida.
I'm Vera.
Hi, I'm Tanika.
I'm Sharice.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
So we have so many issues going on in the world affecting women. We can't even scrape the surface of most of them today, but we did want to gather just to unify and discuss some issues that may plague us, some ways we could come together to change and better some of these circumstances, and also build relationships with one another.
Right.
Okay.
Know one another and feed off of each other.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'd like to start with the issue of self-esteem, which seems to plague young women starting from an adolescent age, and I think it trickles into adulthood.
Right.
I think it lends itself to a lot of issues, which causes us to compete, and I also think it's a hindrance to our growth and why we lack supporting one another. I think it leads to a slew of issues with the mates we choose and how we demand, how we raise our children, how much money we demand at our jobs, all these sorts of things.
Violence,
So
let's
touch on them. So I personally feel that self-esteem becomes an issue early on in a girl's age. It could stem from, different stages in one's life, but I feel like when I talk amongst my friends, it stems from like that preteen age, and I don't know why it is. Somehow it seems like we thrive early. Girls walk first, they talk first.
They do everything.
We do everything, and then at a certain stage, we kind of take a back seat, and the boys kind of fly past us. And I always contribute that to confidence, which directly relates to self-esteem.
And I think confidence and self-esteem, it starts with home.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it starts in childhood, as you say. I think it starts before preteen, because I have an 11-year-old right now, and the confidence that she exudes in public and in front of a crowd, I didn't exude that. When I was 11, I was still very, very shy. So, and she just has so much confidence in herself. And I think it really does start with home. It starts with the parent telling you how beautiful you are, how smart you are, how strong you are, how wonderful you are. You know, that you're a little queen, that you're great, your greatness. And I think it starts with that. And I do that from childhood with my kids. As a baby, it's like, you're beautiful. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not beautiful, that you're not smart, that you can't be anything that you want to be.
Right.
And I think, especially when you're growing up little girls, they need that at home. They need that from the mother. They need that from their dad, but especially with their moms. You know what I mean? Because to show how women can support another woman. Yeah. And I think that's very, very important.
Okay.
I agree with you, Ludi, as well. I think it starts at home. The conversation has to happen. How it's important to have good confidence, high self-esteem. Again, telling your daughter, your child that they're beautiful, and so they won't seek validation from anyone else. Once it starts at home, they have the necessary tools. So when they do go out in the world, they can, already have this knowledge and won't seek that validation, like I mentioned.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important to start.
I definitely agree on that topic with young women. It definitely does start at home, but I also feel like it is a lot earlier in the stages of before preteen.
Yeah.
And that's because unlike when we were growing up, we were allowed to go out and play. A lot of children watch TV and they want to emulate, what they see on TV.
Right.
Absolutely.
And what they see on, and what they see on TV sometimes is a projection of what they feel life is supposed to be like.
Right.
And then there are times
What they
where
feel
we're
is
not
accepted.
allowing. There are times when we're not allowing the young girls to be young girls, because even the young girls that they portray on TV nowadays, they have this persona of being something that isn't reality.
Right.
Absolutely.
Isn't what you and I or you and I may have had growing up. You know, so when you see certain things on TV, your children see that. Now they go to school and they see that. And then color plays a part into
Of
it. And when I
course.
say
Right.
color,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Light skin,
before
dark
light
skin,
skin, exactly.
chocolate,
I don't mean white,
Yeah,
black.
it's
I
within
mean,
us.
Shades,
Right,
shades.
what color
Within
am
us.
I?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a variety of things, and therefore, as a child, you have to know how to nurture your child. So, because if you don't know how to nurture your child, then your child grows up missing certain things.
Of course.
You understand? But then, if you're a parent, like you said, and you spoke of by starting at childhood, if you didn't have that, you don't know how to project that onto your child.
Right.
So now, how do we fix that?
Right.
Right.
You know, like self-esteem is just not just with children, because you can have a parent that doesn't see their self the way they see their self, but now they're living through their child.
Yeah.
So the confidence that they're building in their child is really confidence that they wish they had, but it's not always positive.
Right.
So you want your children to be children.
Right.
You want your young girls to know, I'm beautiful no matter what shape,
matter
size,
what.
color, or how long, how short my hair is, how
Right.
whatever it is.
And
So,
also,
you know, that's how that's what I see. So out of self-confidence and being, and I agree with you when you said like it's teenagers, because it's all over. When you say you're raising an 11-year-old, trying to raise an 11-year-old, it's not easy.
No.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
not easy in a world that we live in
Yeah.
today.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And I have
so
and I have an 11 and an 18, and the 11-year-old is just way more confident than the 18-year-old, which
Correct.
is crazy.
Right.
But it makes sense at
Yeah.
the same time, because the 18-year-old, she's a teenager now. She's going into womanhood now. So there's all these doubts and
Different
questions.
phases
that she
Right.
has
There's all
about
these doubts
herself.
and questions she
And the
has
world.
about herself.
Exactly.
And she's getting to know the world now, like you said. And now it's about, am I going to be accepted being
Yeah.
this way, or should I be that way?
Right.
Right.
You know, so
And
it's
while
like-
I agree
It's like
that it
active
starts
right.
in the home, you
Yeah.
know, it's like it's easier said than done. I think
Correct.
parenting is
Right.
a wonderful thing,
It
but then
doesn't
we
come
have
with a
to,
manual.
but we also
So,
have to
yeah.
acknowledge how much influence the world has.
Right.
Oh,
You can do
yeah.
the very best you can and
Absolutely.
still have a child fall by the
Absolutely.
wayside.
Yeah.
And so I find that even in that, encouraging your children, how do we combat raising girls not to compete with one another, because we don't touch on women empowerment within one another.
Exactly.
We raise them, you're beautiful, you're smart, but do you
Right.
say, and make sure you tell
Yeah,
other
yeah,
little
make sure
girls
you
that,
listen to that.
make sure you try to get the highest
Right.
score, but
I
make sure
agree.
you encourage the other women. I
I
think
agree. You're helping
we
her
don't,
study
too.
I think, and naturally,
Right.
Yeah.
we
I
are
agree.
raised to compete against one another.
Yes.
Our opposite of what boys do.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do not compete the way
Yes.
on the court
Right.
and things like that.
Right.
I mean,
but
not
girls,
in terms of looks.
Ev-
Right.
everything.
I mean, in
We-
all aspects.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's sad, because in all, like, I can literally sit here and I can think about so many things that women compete against each other towards, while men, they come together and they work together,
Yeah.
and that way it allows them to win.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And even though we know they have that alpha male, ultimately they're all trying to be in the top position, but somehow
Right.
they
And-
seem
and
to be able to
that's-
come together.
Right.
So why is
Right.
this? Why is this, and what can we do about it?
I think it's recognizing all that you just said.
Yeah.
We're teaching these young girls, you're beautiful, I think we have to start teaching them, and also recognize that your sister next to you, left and right, is
beautiful
just
as
as
well.
beautiful in her own way. And it's
Absolutely.
important not only to have self-confidence, but also encourage other women
Right.
Yes.
and push
Yes,
them along and
I
help
agree.
encourage
I
them.
definitely agree.
I don't know,
definitely agree
because
with
I think it's silent, but it happens, and we're raised to compete against,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we walk in a room
You
and
gotta do better than the next,
Unfortunately-
right?
and
Yeah.
unfortunately, that plays into womanhood.
Right.
You know, like for me, when I address I'm sorry, I gotta keep moving the mic. Okay, gotcha. So for me, normally when I address my friends and say, hey, beautiful, how you doing? Because that's genuinely how I feel.
Right.
That is how I feel when I look at you. We may not look the same. We may look different. You may like this and I don't like that. But that is really how I feel. Hey, beautiful, how you been?
Right.
Because we don't hear that enough.
We don't compliment each other.
Like I have a lot.
You know what?
I have a lot. I mean, I would say I could literally be what is it, when you're like on a team and they have that, what
sportsmanship?
do they call that? No, they have the
camaraderie together.
They have they have that thing that might dress up in like a teddy bear.
The mascot?
Okay,
Mascot.
Yeah. You're the team mascot.
I'm like the team mascot for supporting women and having women get together. And, I have a multitude of female friends. It's crazy to say. I'm that girl that has all these girlfriends and I love all of them and they're all different and some of them do not like each other.
Correct.
And some of them, they only gather together when it's my birthday or something important. But it's like, I'm that friend where it's like, why are you so nice? Why you have to be her friend? Why do you have to help her? Why do you have to? And it's like, because it's like if she wins, I win.
Right. You feel like you're choosing.
But I think it's just important.
I tell them straight up.
I'll tell you too. I have.
I don't do that.
No, like I have that same situation. I have a multitude of female friends that maybe y'all don't get along, but I get along with you. Yeah. But you just have to understand and respect my boundary because we're at a point in our life where I'm going to speak to them as long as I'm not speaking about you.
Right.
You understand?
Of course.
And that's also something that goes back to, like you said, to self-esteem. Because, see, if I feel beautiful enough, if I feel good in how I look, no matter what skin I'm in, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to be able to stand with you if you like this, if you like this, and I'm going to be able to feel good and say, you know what, you are my sister, no matter what you look like.
That's what I wanted to touch on as well. We have to learn how to compliment each other without taking away from ourselves.
Absolutely. We find that
it's not dimming your light to shine a light on someone else.
Absolutely.
So we all can work together. We all, embrace our differences, and we all are beautiful in our own way. So
I think we should start teaching our daughters and also reiterating to our adult friends and ourselves. There's a seat at the table for everybody. And I don't think we stress that enough. I think we also have to learn to celebrate. I too am like Ludi, and I value my female friendships.
I really do.
I take better care of them than I do relationships with men. And I think we also have to revert that. Women are taught, like, focus on your man. I think your friends will be with you to the end of time. Right. Outside of that, I will compliment absolute strangers. But I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she was second in place to represent the district for the spelling bee.
Congrats to her.
However, she and I blame myself, but we didn't go over the words as much as I think I should have, but I forgive myself. Another little girl wound up spelling it and representing District 5 and went on. And my daughter, came home pouting. Outside of that, did you tell her good job? Did you wish her luck when she was going to the district? And she said, well, no. Why should I? I said, because she's still representing your district. It could have been you, and had it been you, you would have wanted her to pat you on the back and push you along. Next year, you'll work just as hard. She said, well, she won last year. Well, that means that you have something to strive towards. Okay, but we're also going to learn to celebrate each other. And so she's still representing you and us. And so it's a hard lesson, but trying to learn, because you find that in adulthood, somehow or another, even if it's one man, we know we all can't get him. First of all, nobody even want him.
Right.
But we will still walk in the room trying to compete for the attention, because I think we're also taught by society that to gain a man's attention is your life's job.
Right.
Regardless of your motherhood, your education, your self-worth, your career path you choose, ultimately, because you could be fine, you could be a doctor, you could be all that, and they be like, why are you single?
But you ain't got no man.
So the world
doesn't mean
the world trains you that your self-esteem lies within your relationship with a man. We subscribe to that. Hence, from a young age all the way up, we want to fight one another for the attention of men. I think if we omit them
from junior high school. You're
Yeah.
fighting for that little boy's
right,
attention.
From when you first feel
Yeah.
that. Oh, I want him to look at me.
Yeah.
From that catching kiss.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the original question. And the
Yes.
original question was, what went wrong? Right?
So much.
So I'm going to take it from
Yeah.
a different angle.
Yes.
Right.
Sometimes to know where you're going, you got to know where you was at.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about Big Mama and them.
Yeah.
Let's give credit to the past and say,
Right.
back in those days, they had something called rites of passages for young girls.
Yeah.
So when she got a certain age, adolescent, 13-year-old,
Yeah.
she would leave the house where her dad was at, where her brothers were at, where her uncles was at, because that young man may have went on with the uncles. And she would go with strong women in the villages, and they would teach her how to sew. They would teach her how to walk with her, walk straight up, no slouch, walk straight up.
Right.
They would teach her how to cook.
Yeah.
They would teach her community.
Right.
And that's what went wrong.
Right.
A lot of people don't know about that.
I agree.
We need to
Agree.
bring those rites of passages back.
I agree with
Absolutely.
that.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
I agree
To
with
make
you
a woman
on,
whole,
there
make
you
her
go.
whole.
And I agree with you on the fact that do we teach? Some people do.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone. But when you hear someone say, she don't even know how to wash clothes.
Yeah.
At 13, 14, how your kid don't know how to wash clothes. But
Yeah.
it brings you back to what you said. It's not knocking anyone's parenting.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, like you said, parenting doesn't come with a manual.
Right.
And the day and age that which we live in is a lot different than when we lived before, where I wouldn't curse in front of you. That rites of passage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now we're taping our children doing crazy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You wanna, like, parents are taping their children doing crazy
Doing
stuff.
nonsense.
So it starts, like you said,
Absolutely.
at home.
And also it takes a
the
village.
conversation
But let me-
you said
It
that you
takes a
had
village.
with your daughter was
It does.
amazing.
Thank you.
To tell her, did
We
you
gotta
tell
celebrate.
her? Well, you know, thank
Good
you.
luck.
Because see, that's where I'm at with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
Okay, if I didn't get a chance to sit at this table, but I would still be home watching it.
Right.
Right.
You understand?
Rooting
Because I
you
want to
on.
hear what
Support.
these other women have to say.
Absolutely.
So that's, I mean, that'll go hand in hand with our conversation.
But
that we're
can I
gonna
take
have
it a step
later.
further?
Yes, you can.
I almost might play devil's advocate. You mentioned teaching them how to sew and cook.
Yeah.
Going back to self-esteem,
Yeah.
with or without these things, whether
You
you
okay.
decide that you still don't know how to cook
You can still
or
make
sew,
it. Mhm.
I still want you to know that you're a whole person
Right.
and that you thrive.
Absolutely.
Because guess what?
That's right.
While these mothers are pulling their daughters and they still not pulling their boys, and the boys can't fold and wash clothes and can't cook, and they're considered whole. So what I wanted to say, outside of those things still shouldn't define your self-worth. Because let me tell you what I struggle with. I have 2 kids. I struggle with this because, and I get it from women mainly. I have 2 children, a 5 and an 8-year-old. My son is a bit charismatic, but women walk up and acknowledge him as if my daughter isn't standing there. He is a cutie pie.
Right.
My daughter is as well. I don't know if it's opposites or whatever, but I think it's in terms of women empowerment.
Right.
Even if they acknowledge him first,
Right.
I think it's imperative that as grown women,
They
we
should also
tap into.
acknowledge
They should
her.
also
Exactly.
acknowledge her as a
course.
girl,
Exactly.
because my daughter has changed since my son came because of how the world. Now I do my best as a mother, but that's going back to what we spoke about 10 minutes ago. The world still has a huge influence.
Of course.
I'm not just enough. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Beat
Hey,
139. A little
everybody.
longer of a break than we anticipated, but thank you for sticking with us.
Yes.
Again, I'm Katie Outlaw.
Hi, this is Pretty Lou.
Hi, I'm Vera.
Hi, I'm Tanika.
I'm Cherise.
Hey everybody. So Tanika wanted to make a point before we move on to our
Yes.
next topic.
Go for it, Tanika.
Okay, I was just speaking on, because we were just speaking on something heavy with young girls and their self-esteem.
Right.
That we do have some women out there. What I just let the ladies know was, because we have a lot of young girls that either have issues with growing up,
Absolutely.
how they look, different things that they can outreach. There are some programs now that are out there started by women in our community.
Right.
And we need to learn how to support them, since we were just speaking of support.
Absolutely.
You have Narissa, who was also a guest on this show. She wrote a book. And we can, she's Naraz Bailey. I'll put it on my page at a later
Okay.
date. You have
Okay.
Dana and Keena, who also started SAS, which is for sisters and young ladies. That starts back in September. You have Danielle, who started a T-shirt line at Not Just Quotes. She's always open to ideas to put on her quotes. You have Sheree, people that how can I put it? You know, they don't just do it for the living because this is their job.
Right.
They do it because this is what they love.
what they
Lolita,
do.
who does hair,
Right.
like, you know, this. Some people have passion, and when we think that we're looking for something to give our children, there's always somebody out there that we may know.
Yes.
That you
Definitely.
know, can help
So
our
it's
children.
important
So
to
I
support
definitely
these
wanted
people.
to big
Yeah.
those things up. And I will post their information on my page
definitely.
as well as on my Instagram page for those of you that are following.
Because as
us.
we were
So,
saying, and as
yes.
Vera just mentioned, it's important that we support these people.
Absolutely.
And we support their
Correct.
movements. Because
Outside of that, yeah.
because we have quite a few people.
They're better
in the
know
community.
I know some
Right.
talented women,
So make
and
sure
you
you
wouldn't
list
even
that.
know that these women have talents. Such
Oh, yeah.
as they do.
Okay.
Like I know a young lady, Jill. She does amazing things with shirts. Glasses, anything that you can think of
Yeah.
in terms of if you want to have an event for your child and you know self-esteem.
Nice.
And I know some women, like I said, that are starting foundations that do big things in the community
Yeah.
that we don't always speak about.
Right.
You understand? But we see, we emulate, we want to run and do the things that we see on TV.
Absolutely.
Right.
But we need
when my
to
sister
support.
right
We
here
can
is
support
doing it.
Absolutely.
a company right here.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
And outside of
agree.
supporting just business owners and people who motivate, I think it's important to remind yourself to encourage women day to day. When you see a beautiful woman walking down the
There
street,
you
tell her
go.
her hair looks beautiful.
Of course.
Tell her you killing that
I
dress,
do that
mom.
all
Right.
You know,
Right.
we have
our surprise.
we have to- they do it all the
by me
time.
because I do it.
I love
all
to
day.
compliment and
I
put
be
a
like,
smile
Girl,
on a
that
woman's face.
dress is
That's
so
right.
fly. They be like, oh, I've made so many friends just by giving
Right.
them a
Giving a
compliment.
It does.
Because
It
they
doesn't
were
take
so
anything
shocked.
away
Yeah.
from you
They
by
were so
doing
shocked,
so.
like,
It doesn't cost you anything.
And it doesn't
And
deplete
I'm so
anything from you.
surprised.
Right, and it doesn't take
I don't
anything,
feel it
doesn't
does.
take anything from you.
Right.
And to be honest,
Yeah.
half the time
I think it gives
in
you
your
more.
heart, you really feel she looks that way.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Absolutely.
But
like
let's
you said,
not-
it brought us back to what we said earlier
Self-esteem.
about the self-esteem.
Yeah.
And it depends on who you are. I really do feel she looks beautiful, but you think I'm going to tell
But
her,
you know what
'cause I wasn't
happened?
taught to.
It gives
So
you
that's
more
what
than
it
it
brings
takes
them
away
back
from
to.
you
There
because
you
it
go.
takes one to know one.
There you
I
go.
Well,
always
let's
say
not
that.
forget about the
I
women
agree.
that we see that may not look as nice or
Yeah.
may not have a smile on their face.
Right.
Or,
Yeah,
you know,
'cause
you
they
never
may
know
be
what
going
someone
through
is going
What's
through.
going- yeah.
So it's
Going
always
through
nice to
something.
give a smile or say good morning,
Yeah.
how are
Yeah.
you? You know,
They may
that can
have
make
needed
somebody's
that.
day.
Back.
You
At
know,
the end
so
of the
let's
day,
not
you
forget
want
about
back
those
to on
women
your good
as
or your
well.
bad day. You
Right.
don't mind the compliment on your good or your bad day.
Of
course.
And I walked in,
Absolutely.
hey, beautiful ladies. It's
Yeah.
the first thing, like, hey, beautiful. Like, it is
Yeah.
just what it is.
It
Beautiful,
is.
how you feeling?
Thank you.
Because that's what we are. We're beautiful.
There's an organization called Dress for Success, and it's a nonprofit organization. It was started from African American women. And what I love about them is women who are re-entering back into the work world. Maybe they had kids and they couldn't work, or ex-offenders, whatever the situation is. You go into the organization and they will give you a free suit.
Right.
And not only will they give you a free suit, they give you a whole makeover.
Oh, wow.
Hair,
And
makeup.
it's just such
And
a
what's
great
this
organization.
organization called again?
It's called
Dress for success.
Dress for Success.
Dress for
For
Success.
Success,
You
yes.
guys hear that? Dress for Success.
Yes.
Google it.
And you can
look
donate
it up.
your-
You can donate.
So a
I'm
lot of
sure.
things that you
Right.
know, girl, you
that's
ain't gonna
great.
fit into no
Yes.
more.
Yes.
Give it on up.
So I just wanted to let people know that
That's
as
great.
Good.
So really quickly, we this segment
great.
is about women empowerment, but we did want to touch on violence against women, and that segues into a multitude of things. I don't even know if we have enough time for this, but we did want to mention it because we have so many things happen. We have domestic violence. We have the Me Too movement. We have women that have been victimized at early ages,
Right.
and you
In
realize that
childhood.
trickles into some of the issues we already discussed. But
The lack of self-esteem
the lack
in
of self-esteem.
adulthood.
But we also wanted to discuss, as we talk about woman empowerment, it's important that we kind of hone in on things at an early age for our girls. And I think we
Yes.
have to go out our way to protect our young girls.
Yeah.
And when we speak on young girls, it doesn't omit protecting your sons
Your
as well.
sons.
This
course.
segment is
Right.
just about
The
women.
Exactly.
And so we're
it's not
focused
like
on that today.
We're not focusing on the men
Absolutely.
today.
But
Right.
what you guys are just as
This is a
important to
women
us.
show
Right.
So
for
we
the
wanted
women.
to talk about protecting young girls and how we think women, mothers, family members, people have to go out of their way a little bit more, undoing the norm of what might be acceptable because of other intergenerational curses that people have falling victim to.
I mean, it's
and undoing that is never too late.
So let me just throw this
thing.
out there real quickly, not to cut you off. According to the Me Too movement, over 17 million women have reported sexual assault since 1998. 17 million.
And I'm not surprised.
And the movement is to support survivors of sexual violence. And most of these women are young women of color.
Wow.
So I just wanted to throw that out there, a little bit about the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back into
it's a very scary and it's a very fearful subject to touch, you know, especially when you have daughters. I mean, again, we're not omitting our sons and our little boys. However, today's segment is focused around women. So we're going to focus on the young girls right now. And that is an issue that also trickles up to the lack of self-esteem in women when they are abused mentally, physically, emotionally in childhood. A parent of two daughters that has experienced that has brazed, because I'm a roughneck, I don't play that.
Okay.
But that has brazed.
But somebody tried you.
Right. Somebody
tried me too.
Somebody tried me in my teens, but I'm not gonna let you violate me, sweetheart. So somebody that has trickled, I went right to mommy, I went right to aunties, I told. I'm gonna tell, because you're not gonna make me feel uncomfortable in my own home or with my family. So with someone that has experienced that, and I have two daughters, it makes me extremely, extremely fearful of leaving my daughters around just anybody. Sometimes it makes me, I just want to shelter them and have them in the
as
house
they should
all day.
be.
You know what I mean? I was raised sheltered. I didn't go. I was one of those kids back in the day. I don't know how to ride a bike because my mother didn't allow me to go outside. Sit in the house. Do something else. Watch some TV. That's why I know all the R. Kelly songs. Watch
Well, he's
video
not.
music.
He's
box.
not the one we're gonna bring up right now.
Right.
He's the wrong artist to
Right.
mention.
Right. But it was just like. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah, it
Don't
is.
you think? but I mean, honestly, it's something that is very, very fearful, and we have to. I feel in our community, in our society, that when you have little girls and you have daughters, you have to make them aware of what can happen, of the possibilities and of the dangers that are out there. And it's not only a stranger. The saddest part is it's usually with someone that you trust and someone that you're comfortable with, and someone in the home, and someone that's a friend or a family friend or a family member
relative.
or a relative in itself. And so with that being said, it's like to protect them from there will help them grow with more confidence. And that aided me. I mean, to be able to, when you're like 14, 15 years old, you're confused. You don't know what to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? I spoke to my aunt before I spoke to my mother. My aunt went and told my mother on my behalf because I was too terrified to say anything to her. So, but my mother's different. She stepped up. Some mothers do not step up. Some mothers that lack self-esteem allow their daughters to be
Because
abused.
it was also done to them by your
in the past
and
it's
taught
not spoken of.
And you know how you correlate the two, protecting young girls from sexual abuse. It correlates into the world of the Me Too movement, being maybe sexually harassed in the workplace, because some people teach daughters to silence themselves at an early age. So when you're a grown woman being abused or harassed in a workplace, it's not even that it's normal, but you've been silenced decades ago that you almost don't know how, because people teach you that that's the norm.
Don't know how to speak
I
up.
think it's imperative that we learn to talk to our girls about the evils in the world. Also, we do our due diligence to go out of our way to protect them. Mothers, when you meet these men, I know he's nice. Do not leave your children around him. And this is not to talk about the strangers. These are the uncles, the grandfathers, the cousins, the daddies. These are all people. Listen to your children. Create a conversation of allowing children to come to you. And like Ludi spoke on, when the children come to you, please believe them.
Believe them.
Please
Step
investigate
up,
them.
support them, look into it. Do not assume that they're making up stories for attention. Do not really, I mean, it's one of the hardest things a child can possibly do.
And I think we mentioned this
So,
because as we talk about
trust
all
in
woman
them.
empowerment issues, and we segued into self-esteem, a lot of women you'll talk to, that lack self-esteem were also victims
Of course.
of
Yes.
some
Absolutely.
type of
Definitely.
abuse. And so we
Definitely.
know,
Absolutely.
you know, you guys may be like, well, where'd they come
Their
with that
confidence
from?
is taken away from them.
Yes,
from
definitely.
that point on, they
And at
couldn't
some
speak
point-
up.
And at some point, they were
couldn't
not
speak up.
allowed, or they did not speak up because it was
Right.
an unspoken rule.
Correct.
Because it happened in the home.
Right.
Correct.
And we're by
because
no
it
means
happened,
blaming
right.
people
No,
if you
definitely not,
silenced
because
yourself, but
you never know
Yeah.
what happened in someone's home where they
Correct.
say, okay, you just don't say nothing.
Yeah.
Correct.
You keep it quiet.
Right.
and this is
You're
what
not
ha-
gonna say
and I've
anything
had
because
people
maybe mom,
say,
it might have happened to mom.
or
Right.
this is what
You
happens to
understand?
girls,
Well,
because
let's
I've
break
heard
the
women
cycle.
say
Right,
that.
like,
Break
well,
the
why would you
cycle.
dress like that?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you hear
Yeah.
other people's
It
stories.
is time to break the
Right.
cycle.
And-
It is.
At some point, we do live in a day and age now where everyone is more or less outspoken. and
Yeah.
we're teaching our children
I think it's
to
a
be
little bit more
outspoken.
different. Yeah.
So therefore, the what was the
The
norm
silence,
then
right?
is
No,
no
I think
longer the
I,
norm
I
now.
don't I don't know
I
if
think
I
it's a little
agree,
bit-
because
I
I
think
feel
it's a
like
little bit
people are
noisier
outspoken
now.
about issues that are irrelevant. I think
Yeah.
when it comes to certain things, people are still really silent.
I think
About
I agree that they're still
those-
silent,
I agree if
Yeah.
they-
but
what
I
I'm-
agree. I
right,
agree
right,
with
what
the
I'm
fact
saying
that
is-
Yeah.
nowadays our
Yeah,
children
are more
they have a more
outspoken.
they have
Yeah.
a sense of freedom nowadays
Correct. Right.
that
They
we
have- they
didn't
have- they
possess.
have- there you
that
go.
I didn't.
They have
Everything's falling apart. But
They have-
that
they
I
have,
didn't
yeah,
that I
cell
didn't possess in
phones.
my childhood.
Exactly.
They have a sense of freedom. They have a sense of. I mean, you have children nowadays that are telling their parents, "I'm gonna call the cops on you." I wish I could tell my mother I was gonna call the cops on her because she would beat me and the cops. You understand? So it's like, yeah, and then take her. So I agree with you in
And-
saying that
right.
now, if it happens, I agree that a child may feel more comfortable to speak.
We're
up.
coming
I
from
don't,
a
fight.
but that's what I was saying.
Or
I
fight
don't
against
know
it.
that I agree,
Yeah.
because what you find a lot of the times is that certain children are chosen, and they may be more vulnerable, timid ones. Those children still remain, and those are the ones that's not dancing in the center of the party, and the ones that's off a little shy. And so
Right.
those ones are still being abused. You still gonna have kids, and I don't want to because I understand what you're saying. But these outgoing personalities that we have in social media and cell phones are separate from, voicing this thing.
But I think a lot of parents,
You
especially
know.
parents of young women, little girls, you have to let little girls be little girls.
Absolutely.
You know, the dressing, the hairstyle, the gloss, the this, the that. You know, you have to let little girls be
Some
little girls.
children, they're
You have
like-
to watch what they
have
wear around
full-fledged-
people.
They have,
You know,
they
you have company in the
full-fledged
house.
makeup
There's
at like
no,
12.
panties and t-shirts. You have to put on clothes. You can't run around any kind of way.
That's
So you
right.
have to be careful. And
That's
of course,
right.
you cannot just leave your little girls or boys with anyone. You know.
And like my sister just said, that it seems like certain children are targeted, right? It can
Yeah.
happen to anybody now,
Yeah.
whether you're outgoing or whether you're shy.
But they look for the easiest.
They look for the
victims.
easier ones.
But
And
sometimes
they wanna fight.
sometimes the ones that they target is the wrong target though.
Exactly.
Oh, well, then they
Like I
learn.
was the wrong
Yeah.
target.
Yeah, and
Like,
they didn't know, but
you know,
they
I'm
learned
easy,
today.
I'm quiet, I'm shy, I'm easygoing, I'm silent, but I was still the wrong target because
Exactly.
there's still in each person, I should say, there is that light, there is that strength within you to where you're just like, oh wait, did you just make me crawl in my own skin? Did you just
Right.
make me feel uncomfortable? I'm like 14 years old. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And I
And
think
you
I was
pulled
a-
from that
this is not
strength from
okay.
somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
sis.
no.
So thank you. But to, I'm always looking at things from a different angle. You have some people that talk about karmic debt,
Yeah.
karmic ancestral debt.
Yeah.
Google it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Where certain things that replay over and over and
Right.
over again in your
Yep.
family. If you look back, great grandmother.
Yeah.
If you don't take steps to do something about that,
Break that
Break
cycle.
the
to break
cycle.
that
That's
cycle,
what I call the
Right.
intergenerational
Break that cycle.
curses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So you have different things that are people, because we're talking about deep stuff, but we also don't want to leave the people that's watching and may have experienced that, like, what do I do? Because that is
Yeah.
traumatic.
So,
So
that's
you
the
have,
question. What tips can we give them
I got one.
to,
I got a
prevent
couple.
being victimized?
Right.
What can we
Okay.
share?
One of them afterwards, we already know about speaking and, therapy. Therapy works because it's getting it up and out, right? Meditation is also a good form of self-therapy,
Absolutely.
right? Second, you have this whole movement called womb work. And the ladies, as you know, as we sit in here, and we got wombs. We are powerful.
Absolutely.
Right? We can bring anything to us with our womb. The womb is no joke. So I sit and I meditate and I hold my womb. And yes, I have my crystals. Okay. And that's just a form of helping you release things, right? So they have something where certain women do womb work. They have these things called yoni steams. And it's certain herbs and stuff, because we all know the herbs is definitely a conduit of healing.
Oh, yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. So women that also deal with fibroid tumors or, just different reproductive issues that may come about from some type of abuse.
Okay.
You have yoni steaming, where you go to a certain place, or you can do it yourself. You get certain herbs
And you sit over it.
You sit over it.
I know, I'm Haitian.
But
girl.
that's a part
you
of.
know.
do that.
So you know what's up, and it works.
Especially after childbirth.
So that's a part of
It
healing.
works. That's a part of healing.
Right. So what about tips to prevent? What
So
can we do
Right.
to prevent?
So here's-
if we can do anything about it.
I'm more on the preventative. And we just had like 4 issues at the same time. So preventing sexual abuse with girls. Please watch who you leave them with. Don't believe the favorite cousin, grandfather, everybody who's. Watch your girls and protect them and believe them and allow the conversation for them to be comfortable enough to come to you. In terms of self-esteem and domestic violence, know your worth. And when you know your worth, and that takes years, but when you find out your worth, somebody might try you. Don't think it can't happen, but be able to say, listen, I was married before. My ex-husband put his hands on me. I don't call myself a domestic violence. No, I didn't survive nothing. He tried the wrong one.
And
I
I
called
saw
my
that.
father.
No.
He came, picked him up. I filed 2 weeks later. That was the end of the marriage because I had my self-esteem intact.
Girl, we
I
got
also
divorced
had
the same way.
Listen, I had this.
Oh my God.
But I also had the
Same thing
support.
happens.
I had the support that I
called
needed.
nobody, though.
I wasn't afraid to take the step because I wasn't afraid to give up this whole image of a marriage. It wasn't what it was going to be, and I wasn't. I said, I remember apologizing to him when I was on the floor, and I said, "I'm sorry, I made you think I was the type of woman that you could hit."
Oh no, I didn't apologize. I was swinging. And
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
I'm just
I made
excited.
you think.
But in
that you could do
preventative,
this.
know your worth, even if you make mistakes, even in the workplace.
No way.
Once you understand your worth, when you're, when you're educated and you're valuable in what you do, always be able to move on if you are being sexually harassed. Or
seek
in
help.
a
Seek help.
a
Never be
domestic
afraid
violence
to seek help,
relationship.
even if you don't want to
Absolutely.
speak up. Even if you don't want to speak up because you're fearful of speaking up, find a friend that you trust. Find someone that you can talk to release, to let it out,
Yeah, too
to
many
help
secrets.
the healing
Right,
process.
absolutely.
Don't hold on to the secret because that's what kills you the most is that secret.
And learning how to forgive
We have a caller.
yourself.
We have a caller.
We have a caller, guys.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Sean.
Hi.
Hello.
I love what y'all doing. I have a daughter, and I would like for y'all to speak on, when you go on social media, you see a lot of men and women alike saying, "Oh, girls shouldn't date this type of guy, or date that type of guy." But I would like y'all to speak to the fact that a man doesn't validate you being a woman. Only you can do that.
Absolutely.
how old is your daughter?
My daughter's young. I just, but I want to raise her to know that.
How old
And
is
it
she?
doesn't
I'm
seem
sorry,
like a
didn't
lot of
catch
people
her
are doing
age.
that. She's only 3.
Oh, okay, she's young.
She's young. Okay, and do you yourself speak to her? Do you yourself sit down and speak to her one-on-one and let her know that she's a queen and that she doesn't need validation from a man? Because trust me, the words coming from you means more than it
Her
coming
first
from anyone
relationship
else.
with a man
Is
is
her
with you.
father.
Right.
Yeah, her father's her first love. So do you
All
get
the
to
time,
speak,
but
sit down and
is they learn more from what they see out there. So a lot of times it's just my dad telling me this.
I mean, it's
She
just
knows
And
that
she
also
it
limit-
resonates with her when
Society's
I
just
call
more
her a queen or my
influential.
princess.
Right.
Right. Also limit what she's allowed to be exposed to.
Yeah.
The television, the
Social
people she's
media.
around. If she's around these
Even
older
social
cousins
media.
that may speak, more mature
Yeah.
content, that
Go
she
inside
should
the
be around.
room. She
That's
should be
not
around
age
them.
appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, social media, how old is she that she's even able to be on social media? My daughters cannot
old
have
is she?
social media pages until they are
How old is
17
she,
years
sir?
old. So
She's
how
3.
old is she?
She's 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So
well,
she's
and
still
Well,
a
you're
baby.
starting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
starting
she's
at the right
starting.
age.
age.
That's a good conversation.
That's a great
to have.
starting
Right.
age. Yeah.
I think to focus more on her worth, her education, her self-esteem and let her know that she's the prize.
Right. Yeah.
I think when you know you're the prize, you won't come out here settling for anybody or think that you are 100 percent
like
complete
the rest. Right.
once you meet a man, which is what we spoke about earlier. Women can be as educated as they want to be, and they be like, well, why are you single? Well, am I not enough that I choose not to settle for any man? The world tells you that you're not enough if you're not in a relationship.
Absolutely.
When actually a lot of us accomplish and are greater
when we're alone.
Without. We do our greatest.
We're more focused
alone.
We're more focused.
That's what I like to be pushed, because I hate seeing a woman validated by the man she's dealing with. When
so
that's not all a woman is supposed
and
to do.
Show her.
Yeah.
And you can be the best example. How are you treating her mother?
That's important.
Or whoever you're with. How do you treat them? How do you speak about them?
Yeah.
Are you treating her like a queen? Are you buying the mother flowers and kissing her?
Because she is going to emulate what she sees at home.
You set the standard for what she should accept.
She is.
So set the bar really high so that if daddy sees mommy treating her like a queen, then nobody can just step to her
and treat her
and give her any less than what she's worth.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because it'll be contradictory of you calling her a queen and then have
showing her
her accepting
else.
just anything.
Right.
So I
treating
think
her mother less than
your
a queen.
works are more important than anything right now at this age.
I hear you.
And not
I
focusing
appreciate
just
that.
on looks. Focus on how
But we
smart
do
she
agree
is.
with you, and it is important that everybody does know that a man does not validate you. A man does not make you whole. You make yourself whole.
Everybody don't know that. Y'all
Okay?
should
You
know
make
that.
yourself.
You
make yourself whole. Make yourself healthy. Make yourself mentally strong. Make yourself physically strong by being healthy.
And when you
Easier
look
said
for
than
a
done.
man, you want to look for a man that's whole
educate
as well.
yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, you want to make sure
You
the
get
man
two
that you're
broken
with
people.
is whole
Yeah.
as well. So
And know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right, write it down.
Or it doesn't even have to be too broken, but one negative and a positive still makes a negative.
Right.
So at the end of the day,
you wanna
if
look
you're
for that
whole and
whole-
you go get somebody that's missing
Yeah.
pieces,
Right.
you're gonna end up missing pieces.
Right.
That's what it is.
So,
But thank you
have
for
to-
calling.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Great
appreciate
speaking
that.
to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
definitely. Well, that was excellent.
Call us. Call in
Wonderful.
646-628-4264.
Yeah. We want to hear what you got to say.
So what do you think are more preventatives?
More preventatives. Yeah, I agreed with you. Don't let them out my sight. Just don't let them out my sight. But no, also to make them aware, also to pay attention, also to give them tips on making them aware of people and
Trusting
that
their
that may
instincts,
not
right?
be trusted. Yeah, you have to trust you. You know what I mean? That's just like sometimes when you're home and a friend might call and be like, let's go outside, and something inside you, your mind speaks to yourself. God speaks to you. No, stay home.
That ain't right.
Listen to yourself.
Right.
Like you don't need to be outside. You don't, there's nothing out there for you. You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes I'm in bed and my friends call me and they're like, Lou, come meet me here. And there's like a little voice in my head that says, what are you going outside for? You're already in bed. No, I'll see you another time.
And
You
to
don't know
know-
what the
Right.
Lord is
Yeah.
preventing. You don't
and to
know.
remind your girls
it's your
that
inner
it
voice.
is okay to not fit in the in crowd because you say no.
Of course.
That doesn't make you
Of
any
course.
less of a person than
I don't
you
know
are.
why,
It
but
actually
I've
just
never
makes
had
you
that issue.
Stronger.
To teach
I don't
them
know
to
why.
be leaders.
I never.
And that's
I
beautiful and
completely,
to
completely
teach your
agree with
children
you.
that.
Because
So, yeah, you
I'm gonna tell
definitely have
you,
to
I
teach
never
them
had
that.
that issue.
Definitely need to teach
I
them
never had
that.
that issue, but my 18-year-old has had that issue.
Yes.
So it's
Right.
great for you to say that. And
Yeah.
and she's watched me. She's
Yeah.
watched my strength. She knows that mommy is strong. She knows that I do not play around. And like I got lucky where I never had issues saying no.
Right.
You want to smoke some pot? No.
Yeah.
You want to sniff some coke? No. And I had all types of friends: Mexicans, white, black, West Indian. It didn't matter. Anything they asked me, no, I don't want it. I drank my first drink when I was 30 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I never had a peer pressure issue.
Yeah.
But everyone is different, and so
Right.
we still have to continue to teach our children that it is okay to say no,
And
and
you
it is
wanna-
okay to speak
and you
up.
want
I think
to
we
teach
also have
them
to emphasize
leaders and not
leadership.
followers.
Absolutely.
It-
Don't
to
follow,
piggyback.
lead.
So
Right.
I would.
agree.
So
I agree with
I would
Vera.
ask you then, because you say you never had that issue, right? And you're raising daughter, you know, and everyone has children. How did you handle that with your child? Her not being able to do that because
I
that
was
wasn't who you were.
super disappointed. Yeah,
Right.
like I was super
Right.
disappointed, but what it was is I had to understand and I had to respect that Ludi is Ludi and Ludra is Ludra.
Right.
And so, and Ludra has a mind of her own, and Ludra has her own personality, and Ludra has her own strengths.
Correct.
And as well as she had different influences. So where she was in high school, that is what they majorly do. You know what I mean? They major. By the time I graduated high school, I went straight to med school. So my focus, my environment was a little bit different from hers. So I had to respect that and understand that as well. But I also had to sit her down and be like, and give her my experiences. Like, Lou, you're not the only person that's ever, your friends have ever said, here, smoke some pot. It's okay to say no.
It's all about how you respond.
Did you want to smoke the pot? Unless you wanted it anyway, don't ever let anybody peer pressure you into doing anything. And at the end of the day, you're still a child. Don't ever want to do any kind of cannabis,
adult activity.
Any kind of adult activity until you're an adult and you can handle it. Because, you know,
But
anything can happen.
Okay, so that brings us back to.
I'm sorry, we have to wrap up soon.
We're going to wrap up soon, yeah.
Okay.
Great topic,
that was,
ladies.
that was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that brings us back to what we were speaking of really quick earlier about the self-esteem. Because did you see how you said you handled that with her?
Yeah.
Because she came to you.
Yeah.
And that's what we said earlier. What I was
Absolutely.
saying earlier.
She was
Everyone-
comfortable. She was
we
comfortable
live
to
in a
come to me about
society where
anything.
You, like you said, you
Yeah.
teach your children when you see one, you see two, you see three.
Yeah.
So you taught your child that come to me and tell me.
Yeah.
Open up to me. So she said, Mom, no.
Yeah.
But then you told her, don't feel like you're the only person that's ever going to say
Yeah.
no.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I find is we're going to have to
Absolutely.
continue this another
Yes.
day
Yes.
because we
We're gonna have to
discussed
do this
5
again.
things all
This was
over the
great.
place.
Yes.
But
We're
we did
definitely
want to
gonna
say
have to do
thank you.
this
This was
again.
our self-empowerment.
Yes,
We
yes.
focus on
Self-empowerment
self-esteem,
segment.
teaching
for
your children
watching.
leadership,
Yes.
teaching them how to speak up and
Yes.
protect them.
Yes.
Our
wanna thank
women,
everybody.
we
Had a great
value
time.
you. We want to continue day to day, even if you don't have a foundation. See a woman or a young girl and make them smile. Tell them how
Yeah.
beautiful
Tell them
they
how
are.
beautiful they are.
And as you
Absolutely.
climb the ladders, lady, take others with
Pull
you.
them up.
Okay? It's
Pull
a
'em
seat
up.
at the table for all of us.
UNITY.
So we're going to take a short break and come back
Yes.
with our amazing guest. Thank you guys.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
all.
everybody. We'll be
And ladies,
right
thank you
back.
for our
Stay
co-host.
tuned. We have some great guests next.